What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bay Area Combat Podcast. We are back in effect after a little hiatus because our last host, Daniel Compton over here, had to make some moves and whatnot. So you're in Washington now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we moved to Washington, so we're back in action. I'm going to be taking over as the host of the Bay Area Combat Podcast here. Today's guests, we have two guests here. We have James Guidry and Carli Lombardo, and they're both fighters out of this East Bay area. Both fight for Team Black, Dan Black, who is a infamous coach in this area. Everybody knows Dan. He's been around a long time. Carli's actually fighting on our card coming up here May 7th at the, as Dan likes to say, the Santa Cruz Civic. I think it's so cool. I love it. The Santa Cruz Civic. So yeah, tickets are available there. So we thought we would bring these guys in, break them down a little bit, figure out, what makes them tick. And so that's why we are here. Let me start with you, Carli. So you're coming up, you're fighting MMA. How did you start training? How did you become interested in this sport?
I've been training martial arts for about 9 years, even before I knew what MMA was. Popped on the TV and was like, I saw Carla Esparza and Thug Rose battling it out on the tough season, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that with my life. I've dedicated a lot of my life to MMA. So.
Were you an athlete? Did you do anything before that? Did you do any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played water polo, and my girlfriends were on a jog and off-season training. They're like, I want to do wrestling, and I'm like, wrestling? Like, isn't that for guys? Like, you guys are crazy. So I tried it out, went with them. Turns out my girlfriend just wanted to date the captain on the team, and I ended up being pretty good at it and loved it ever since then, and just been at it.
So when did you start wrestling? And you said?
I would say 2014, 2013.
In high school?
High school, yeah.
So you were, what year were you in when you started wrestling? And you wrestled?
13, I believe, yeah.
And then you wrestled throughout high school?
For 2 years, yeah, and then college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you have you have a wrestling background then, if you're gonna claim a background.
Yeah.
Okay. And then water polo is a tough sport too.
Yeah, it's like combat sports in the water, kind of.
Yeah.
The girls will claw at your skin, grab the suits, kick you in the stomach.
It's a contact sport.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you gotta
constantly have the cardio.
I would be drowning. I would drown in 1 minute, treading water. You're constantly moving.
Yeah.
Kind of like wrestling. You're constantly moving, and you're dealing with an opponent that is also trying to do something, and you're trying to prevent them from doing something, or you're trying to do something, and they're preventing you. So it's a similar kind of, I guess, pace of sport, Because you look at, sports like football, they do a 3-second, 5-second play, and then they have 30 seconds, right? And it's so different from basketball because they're running constantly. So, combat sports, and what I think is super cool about combat sports, it's it is you and an opponent, that you don't realize until you're in there, but you have a weird bond with your opponents. You know what I mean?
Especially afterwards,
it's a weird respect because if you don't do this sport, you run across an average men, right, or average women, and there's always this question, of I wonder what would happen if we went toe to toe. When you walk into a gym, you guys go cross-train. I know Dan, he takes you guys to different places, right? When you walk into a gym, there's always this kind of they're like a little pack of hyenas when you walk into a new gym, and they're looking at you, and you're kind of looking at them. Then you bang out, you bang it out, hug it out, fucking great. Oh, that was great. And it's what I say is I'll walk into a gym, and it feels like a bunch of enemies, and after we throw it down, I'll leave and I feel like I have a bunch of brothers and sisters. Do you kind of get that feeling, the camaraderie between fighters? We're all brothers in arms and sisters in arms, even though we're opponents. And I think a lot of people don't understand that until they kind of get into that. You know what I'm saying? The warrior mentality of it all, So James, what got you into fighting?
Man, I've been fighting my whole life, bro.
Bro, what a fucking G-ass thing to say, though. What a G-ass thing to say with the sugar-free, smooth-ass voice over here. Man, I've been fighting all my life. This sounds like a movie. So what do you mean you've been fighting all your life? Like, let's bring it back. Like,
Man.
you had a tough upbringing, or?
Just you know what I mean? Like, you feel me? You come through, like, God gives the strongest, you feel me, soldiers, you feel me, the toughest battles. And I'm just saying, you feel me, coming up, I'm not saying it was tough, you feel me? I had what I needed to get through in life, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, what I mean is just like, I've been fighting, bro, since like, what, first grade, second grade, like kindergarten. I can go all the way back, like, since I was beating up kids in the playground, you feel me, all the way up to high school.
So it's something that always called to you.
Yeah. And it's like, I got a football background.
Okay.
Like, so that was my first
Yeah, me
love,
too.
you know
Me
what I
too.
mean? And I got a football background, and that's what I've been doing, but I've been in trouble, you know what I mean? I've gotten a couple, you feel me, fights throughout school, you know what I mean? But it's like a couple bad fights where, like, I'm on the bad side of it, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, everybody always just tell me, like, hey, bro, if you just fight, if you really fight, you could do something with it. And then I was like, okay, whatever. I started doing Muay Thai. Like, I came to introduce to Muay Thai, like, when I was, like, 13. And I did that for about a year. And I started loving that too. Went back to football for another 10 years. You know what I mean? So I just got back in probably another 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, I got back into fighting. And then because my football career ended, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I'm still gonna use my athleticism. And And I'm gonna try to work it. I went to Dan's. I asked my boy out of Fightletics, JoJo. He told me.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
Yeah. He told me.
Yeah.
He told me, like, I was like, I put on Instagram, I was like, any gyms, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking for something.
I'm looking for a gym,
Yeah.
like, and he hit me up, and he's like, there's this gym, and then there's this gym. And then he was like, but I think you would fit in that Team Black.
Yep.
You feel me? So I made a trip down there, got my ass beat. They handed my ass to me the first day. I left, didn't come back for a good, like, couple months. Had to go get, like, in shape, because I was like, I tried to come off the couch thinking I was doing something.
Yeah.
Went in there, got fucked up, came back, and started banging. And ever since, I've been, you know what I mean, doing my thing.
Well, and then you talk about that, like, and we were talking about Dan Black is longtime coach out here in the Bay Area. And, like, again, I trained with him in Concord at Combat Fitness a lot. Dan is a different type of beast. What I like to say about Dan is that if we were in the age of Vikings and someone pissed you off
For
and
sure.
you could grab an axe and cut their head off, I'd say Dan would rule the world, right? Yeah. He's an old school type of dude. And he came up through that Cesar Gracie camp where they throw you in the deep end and see how you react to getting eaten up by the sharks. Because if you're a little bitch and you got to be perfect and look good all the time, it ain't gonna work with Dan Black. No. Like, he's gonna make you struggle through adversity to kind of see what you got right off the bat.
Hell yeah.
And he will, like, there's a certain, like, breed that can hang with that kind of mentality. And then you got that kind of, like, a little bit of a street in you of like, nah, motherfucker, not today, right? And so was it difficult for you? I mean, I'm sure football helped, but, you know, this sport of MMA and fighting is not street fighting. It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's opposite. Yeah.
And a lot of people that say, oh, I'm a street fighter, they think they can hang in this arena, and they can't. Because they don't realize that it's different, right?
Yeah.
And we all understand this. Yeah. Like, there's nothing like looking at an opponent and knowing, like, I'm gonna fight this person.
Yeah.
And then the mental and the emotional, like, outlet. Like, Carli, like, how do you deal? Because you're a mom, right?
I'm a mom, yeah.
So you're a mom. You're taking care of your kid. Like, that's a whole bunch of energy and responsibility. And now you're doing this, you know, for yourself as well, because you have to, because the better you are, the better mom you are.
Exactly.
So you're continuing to train and do things that are your passion. But, like, how do you balance all of that effort and energy that it takes to be a fighter and to be a mom at the same time?
Honestly, it's hard. I'll let you know it's hard. James is here to help and support me a lot, which is great. My team. Family. My family so much doesn't understand my passion yet, but hoping they do further along the journey. So Yeah, it's a huge balance. I have to balance out the days I'm not balance out, but plan everything out. The days I'm training, just a lot of balance and balancing my schedule.
Yeah, and then, so James, how do you handle before a fight, coming up to a fight? Like, what's your mentality when you're training and when you're thinking about, that night where you're gonna step in the cage and fight?
My whole thing is make weight. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn who I'm stepping in the ring with. You know what I mean? Like, it's kill or be killed. You know what I mean? And that's just how the mentality is. And like you were saying, it's a mental thing. You know what I mean? All the things. Like, yeah, like I think that my football gave me a lot of my athleticism that I bring to the game. But the mentality is a big thing too, because you can have the muscle, but if you don't have this is your biggest muscle, and if you don't have this, then you're not, you feel me?
And that's funny because I had a similar upbringing. Like,
Yeah.
I was like karate kid. My dad's like black belt, so I'm
Yeah.
like little mullet kid running around throwing sidekicks and shit. And then I found football,
Yeah.
and for about 10 years that was my life.
Yeah.
And then I got like out of football, and I felt this like longing to be a part of a team again, and I started like training karate again. And my boy's like, "Oh, I'm doing this MMA thing," And I remember I didn't even like MMA. I was a boxing fan. My boy was like trying to get me on Pride shit back in the day, and I was like, "Nah, man, they just hugging each other on the ground. That's boring." I was like that guy. Then I started to do that, and something that was crazy is I hated grappling for hella long. How was it transitioning? Because I'm getting tapped out by these dudes, and I'm thinking, man, if we were starting from our feet, I'd knock you out, blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
always the thought.
It was crazy. Like, did you have to, when you're learning jujitsu, like, was it a struggle to like find a love for it? And have you found a love for it? Because some people like, they hate it and they do it because I need to have it. Like strikers, you find these guys like lifetime strikers, they're training their wrestling and their jujitsu because they need it. But deep down inside, they want to stand up and keep banging. Have you fallen in love with the grappling side yet? Like, is that something that you're into? Or
Yeah, well,
because you seem like the type of motherfucker that wants to put somebody's lights out.
Well,
That's
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Like, look, I'm coming to sleep you.
Yes, that's what
feel
you
me?
seem.
Like,
That's what
the
you
thing.
seem like.
Stand and bang, I'm a stuff to take down. I'm gonna knock your ass
Yeah,
out.
yeah, I'ma sprawl and
that's
brawl
the
that
game.
ass.
You feel me? But
Yeah.
but I do got love for the ground game. I've been wrestling with my friends. You feel me? Since I've been a little boy. You know what I mean? And like, the only thing that I could say like that's been hard is trying to muscle everything. Instead of
trusting the technique.
Yes, instead of going through I've been a technical dude my whole life.
Yeah.
But just going from like me thinking like I can just like yoke you into a position or something, and like being able to like, okay, there's a way I can move without exerting that energy and move into the better position. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that's been hard. You know what I mean? But other than that,
there's
everything
something
is,
inside of you that wants to just like
yeah,
Hulk out of shit.
everything else, I'll choke your ass out, armbar you, whatever the hell it is. But you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm trying to knock your ass out. So.
And then so on the flip side, so Carli, you came from wrestling.
Yeah.
How was it the first time you started like sparring stand up and getting hit? Because I know a lot of wrestlers,
Yeah.
they don't want to get hit, and it's a world they're not used to because they haven't been training it.
Yeah.
And so they feel super comfortable. Like as soon as the fight starts, they get close, they take it down, they try to keep it there. Was there any kind of like wake up moments when you started sparring? Because it can be a kind of a rude awakening when you get up in there and you actually start getting hit. How was it the first time you started banging? Were you the person that was like, whoa, or were you the person that like was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah, I was
and punched the gloves together?
I was the person that was like, okay. I mean, you got to take some to get some sometimes. I mean, that's how I am. So.
Well, that's why you're with Dan, because if you weren't the person that said, all right, and slap their gloves together and come back the next day after he throws you to the fucking wolves.
The first day I came actually from another gym, and then I found Dan afterwards. Thank God. He's like, you know, he's more of my style. So he leg kicked the hell out of me, just chopped my legs, chop, chop, chop. I was
I've
like,
heard this story so many
"Yo."
times.
I had
from
to go
you.
to work the next day, and my coworkers were like, "Yo, you need to go. You need to call off. Are you good?" I'm like, "No." And I was back in the gym the next day, and Dan was like, he was like surprised I was back. I was like, "Nah, I'm here. Like, I want to fight." So
He weeds out the weak real quick, you know?
yeah.
So, what about you? Like, how did you meet Dan, and like, what was your first? Like, you know, you said, okay, I come in there, they piece me up, I come back. At one point, where you're like, I wanna fight, or was it like a day one thing? Because a lot of people, you know, go to train and they don't know, like, they don't go in and go like very few people's like, I want to be a cage fighter. Usually,
Yeah.
they just want to train.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, when was the switch? You know, where you're like, I want to get up in there and compete.
Yeah, okay, so like right when the football was over, I'm like, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna go. But when they fucked me up, what I'm saying is that it was the cardio. Like, because I'm coming off the couch and then I was feeling that wind, I haven't been like
push
working out
like
for a
that.
second.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, so I had to go get back on my shit. I went back to the gym, started running and shit. Then I came back with my cardio up a little bit, and then I started like just putting the pieces of the puzzle together, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, ever since then, I've just been, you know what I mean, just following Dan. He's the OG. He got the plan, so.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and this is like, and again, we want to enlighten people to martial arts, because really, this is a sport, but it's different. You know, it's also there's like a mind, body, spirit with this sport. Just like all sports, but it's a little bit different when you're in there testing yourself against another human being that's trained to do the same thing you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people get it kind of twisted. And they think fighters are like self-centered and egotistical and think they're the baddest. But what I tell people, like, the more you train, the less you want to use the training in real life.
Yeah.
Like, I say the most dangerous dude is the dude that worked a 9 to 5 and doesn't know if you know they haven't proved their manhood to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're at the bar on Friday night, it's the drunk dude that doesn't ever test himself like that wants to try to prove himself that night against anybody that bumps into them or whatever, you know. But I think that's kind of what a lot of people get from training is, like you said, you left, and on your drive home, like in your mind, you're like, never again. Like, that was because cardio. Yeah. And then that's what motivates you to get on the treadmill and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, what are some fighters? You said Carlos Esparza
and Thug Rose. Yeah.
Are those kind of your?
Yeah, it's funny
inspired
too.
you?
Yeah, they're fighting on the same night again for the title. So I'm like, the stars are kind of like aligning. I feel like, you know, so.
Oh, like it's serendipitous?
Yeah, like they're fighting like on the same night as me. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, like we're all fighting tonight together.
Yeah.
Just in different places. And then, like, who do you look up to?
Man, in the fight game, man, newer dudes, you know, I like Connor, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? All the newer dudes, but like starting off, it was like Rampage.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Jackson, you know what I mean? Kimbo Slice, you know what I mean? I like, my first favorite MMA fighter, I was going to say Tito. Just because that's how I found out what MMA was, because of Tito.
That's who put you on.
Yeah, when Tito fought Chuck, that was the.
Oh, yeah,
And then
that
I
put a lot
started
of
figuring
people
out what
on.
MMA was about. You know what I mean? Then I started figuring out what Rampage was. Then I like Rampage. Went into the Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? John Jones
so you've been
era.
watching for a while then.
I'm not a casual. I've been in this, so yeah, I've been watching this for a minute.
Danny boy, like who? We're a little bit older. Like who was? I mean, he's talking about Rampage.
No, it's the exact same shit. It was the Vanderlei Silva, Rampage Jackson, fucking knees through the ropes, fucking Rampage's face, fucking dripping, and that's when I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, first off, I don't want to get kneed in the fucking face, but I want to knee somebody in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I learned at a very young age.
At the Fedor Emelianenko and all of them.
Fedor.
You know what I mean? Dudes like that's trying to kill you. You feel me? That's what I'm looking at. Like, you know what I mean?
Where'd you play football at, James?
I was at Deer Valley. I was up there for a little
What'd you
bit,
play?
You know what I mean? Everything. I played every position.
Your offense or defense, though, primarily?
Offense.
Okay, I see that.
But I'm like a defensive dude on offense.
Yeah.
I'm like
Making
defensive
making
mentality.
like I want the ball in
mentality.
my hand, but they never get a ball in my hand. So what I got, like, and I am good at when I got the ball in my hand, you know what I mean? But what I got hella good at, because they never want to let me touch the ball, you know what I mean, is lay somebody out. Like, I'm a crackback kind of guy. Like, so I started hitting dudes on offense. So that's what they used to use me as.
Like that,
you know what I mean?
like
Laying
I love
dudes
those
out.
running backs that could escape that
Yeah.
safety, but instead they turn into that
Yeah, yeah,
safety
exactly.
to rock that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
that's the type of football player I respect.
Yeah.
you know?
See, like my whole life has been like I've been the littlest dude. Like I always had to I was like an overlighter my whole life. So like I always had to get moved up with the older dudes that was hella bigger than me.
Oh, so
like
you,
because of my age, like I guess or however it was going
Yeah, yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
So like I like literally had to go to weigh-ins and I had to like
I
put
did-
a weight in
I
my
know-
jaws.
I know, dude,
just
I know.
to like make weight
I
on the
know
official
exactly.
weigh-ins. Like
I was the other way around. I was a fat little kid, and because I was so fat, I got moved up to the
Yeah.
next bracket.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, these dudes look like grown ass men, and
Yeah.
I'm still a little boy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, but those experiences, I think, help you in the fight game too.
Yeah.
Because you're like, again, you said you were pointing up here when you're
Yeah.
talking about fighting.
Yeah.
And you probably heard this from coaches. You both have because you were high school athletes. That this sport, they say this is 90% mental. They
Yeah,
love
yeah.
to say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
For some reason in high school, I was like, that's fucking bullshit. Like
yeah.
this dude's
Massive
bigger
money.
and stronger than me. Like how
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
beat him?
Yeah.
But that's what's kind of cool about fighting and training. And again, we were talking about the dude at the bar that's the most dangerous is the guy who doesn't like know, right? But if you train long enough, like Carli could probably tap me out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's an 90-year-old Korean dude that can like poke me in a spot in my chest and fucking make my heart stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you go in and you realize like I remember, first times grappling, I'm grappling like 125 or some kid and I'm like, man, I'm so much bigger than you. What can you do? This kid fucking spider monkeyed me, wrapped me up, tapped me 3-4 times in 5 minutes,
fuck.
playing with me.
Yeah.
And so when you leave, you like look at the world a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Because you realize like, oh man, like anybody could have the ability, I don't know, to fucking take my arm off my body,
Yeah, yeah.
like remove me from my consciousness. So I think that's what's cool about martial arts is that it humbles you and there's always this hill to climb, So, I mean, for you, Carli, it's tough because now it's different. But like, maybe 5 years ago, like there wasn't a lot of girls training MMA. There was some girls, there wasn't a lot of girls even grappling. So I hear this a lot from girls. It's like, I don't have a lot of partners. Like and I know like it's 90% mental, but like when you're going with a dude that's like, 60 pounds heavier than you and they're using that weight, it's tough. So how do you get training with like people that represent opponents you'll actually face? You know what I mean? Is it tough to find girls to get work in with,
It has. Most of the time I have to train with the guys. Usually the girls that I train with are like 150 plus and I fight at 115. So just got to thug it out and, make do with what I have. And yeah.
So you've had one MMA fight, right? You fought Jelena, yeah?
Fought Jelena,
She's
my
a
first
beast.
fight ever.
She's a beast.
Yeah, she's a beast.
She's a beast. Yeah, I've trained with her.
I'm actually
Yeah.
gonna go up and train with her again or I'm gonna go train up there with her before my fight.
So yeah, that's like, and then that's what's funny is, people that you fight, you actually become friends with.
You
often.
become good friends with sometimes, yeah.
Now, do you have anybody that you have like real beef with in the
In
game?
the fight game?
Yeah. Anybody talking shit or
No,
anything
no,
like
no,
that?
no, no.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like
Do you? You said shit like, oh.
Shit, well, I was supposed to fight somebody a while back, but something happened with my old team, and I had to switch teams. And there's this girl
fell
who
through?
it fell through, yeah. And it's like, girl, I want to fight you, I just don't have a coach. I have nowhere to, So I found Dan, but yeah, am I name dropping now?
Hey, yeah, fine. We'll get it on the next BAC.
Yeah, Valerie Thirst. Yeah, she's
Oh.
been wanting to fight me for a while, and yeah, so.
Hey, matchmaker, we're setting things up here.
Yeah, she's game opponent. She wants to fight anybody.
Yeah.
She'll probably fight you too, bro. She's down to fight anybody. Dog.
Yeah, I know she's a mommy too, so yeah.
That'd be a cool fight.
No, that'd be awesome. I reached out to her at some point. I've been reaching out to because it's hard to get ladies on the card, man. We got lucky to get you guys. It's been super hard. I've been trying hard because I want that aspect of the show. It's very important, and the fan base love it, and so It's been a huge effort of mine to get you guys on the card, as many females as I can, and it's hard. Brandon, how's it with Triumphant? Is it hard as well for the ladies Muay Thai, or what? They're down to fight for Triumphant.
Yeah, I mean, there's just less of a pool.
Yeah.
You know, so it sucks because it's a small pool, people end up not having a lot of options. You know, there's only so many people in my weight class. It's kind of similar to heavyweights.
There's like 7, I believe, in the state of California for my
Yeah.
weight class that are active right now. I looked, I was like, all right, let's get it.
Let's get all 7.
Let's get all
like
7.
it's kind of like heavyweights. Like there's only so many out there, so it's tough to get fights for those heavyweights. And then on the same thing on the other spectrum, and like lighter dudes too. Like there's not a lot of 125ers out there, so they end up all kind of fighting each other, you know, and trying to like crawl to the top or, you know, claw their way to the top out here. But yeah, it's definitely, it's more difficult, but you know, like I was saying, like I feel like it's been tough for girls in the sport because again, it's tough to get good training, you know, like you gotta, like you're going up to Sacramento to get training, you know what I mean? To
Driving all over.
To find training, and because training with dudes is cool, but like you need a look of the opponent because, you know, speed, everything's different, and different things work when you're fighting someone, you know, your size than you're fighting someone way bigger than you. So it can be difficult, I know, for like, again, like heavyweights, like it's tough for heavyweights to find sparring because there's only so many fucking heavyweights, and like lighter guys don't want to like really hit a heavyweight because they don't want the heavyweight to like hit them back, you know. So it's tough, and that's why sometimes when you get into a fight, it's like can be a unique experience because you're not used to training with someone like the same size as you. But yeah, I mean, you were fighting Atanasia, is that her name? Atanash? Nashi, is that the short term? Nashi. Yeah. What do you know about your opponent?
I know she's Muay Thai kickboxer. We actually had a point match. Before I actually asked Dan for the fight, I was like, let's get an MMA fight going. So, yeah.
How'd the point fight go?
Lost by points, but I'm ready to get into an MMA match with her. That's what I want to do. So.
It's a little bit different, huh?
It's different, for sure. No headgear, 4-ounce gloves, so...
Yeah, and you can always put the wrestling in, and that's always something that you can threaten as well. And then James, what you got coming up?
So far, I'm fighting on May 28th, Dragon House. I'm coming back on the next card. You feel me? To fight for the unified title. And if that doesn't end up falling through, because I guess the guy I'm fighting, he had knee surgery or something like that. So if he ends up not being ready, like he's saying he's ready, but I don't know if he's going to be ready.
He might
all the
pull
way.
Pull out, like, never mind. I ain't as ready as I thought I was.
Yeah. Like, but if that ended up happening, I'm probably going to end up fighting the week before, maybe on Tough Enough, or we'll see what's up. You know what I mean? So.
But I know Team Black stays ready.
Yeah, we stay ready, so we ain't got to get ready.
So, Dan Black stories. So Dan Black used to come into combat, and you guys been to combat. Yeah. You guys been to combat
plenty. That's where we're training right now.
Yeah.
So George was Dan's striking coach back in the day. It's funny because I don't know if you've seen their relationship, but like Dan will pop off at anybody. Dan don't give a fuck, except George Tesui. Like
it's all respect.
It's a crazy, like almost like uncle, nephew relationship. Like I've seen Dan like going ham on. It was Matt. Matt used to train. Matt Baker used to train with us a bunch. Mm-hmm. And him and Charles Rodriguez used to go at it, right? Yeah. And you have Dan like fucking cussing it, and like George is running a gym, right? There's like soccer moms doing fitness classes and shit. But like when Dan's up in there, like he's like it's a fight gym. So Dan will bring his boys and girls. This is like Brooke Mayo at the time and shit was there. Yeah. And I just remember one time Dan is like, George is in the office in the front, and Dan is like fucking ripping Matt. Because listen, like anyone, Dan is, I call the can man, because anyone can get it.
Yeah.
Mexican, yeah. African, yeah. Republican, he don't give a fuck, dog. You can get it. Shit. So he's just rip and like if you fight for Dan, you better have some tough fucking skin.
Yeah.
So he's ripping Matt, yelling, cussing, what the fuck are you, fucking leg, fucking kick. And I just remember George like turns the corner, right? And looks, and then like Dan sees George like, what are you doing? Like I have a business I'm running here. And I just saw like Dan like tuck his tail. I'd never seen him do it, but he like tucked his fucking tail and was like, oh shit, my bad. And I was like, George is I've trained with a bunch of people. George, I consider a master. Like he just is like, it's like a kung fu movie. Like that dude has a different aura about him.
Yeah.
He like commands a respect. And I've never heard anyone talk bad about him. No, I've never heard, like, George is a different beast. You know, like if you can like tame the wild beast of Dan Black, you know what I'm saying? And have him like, and he'd be like, my bad. You know what I mean? That's a man right there. Yeah. And so Dan is an opportunist as well. Because Dan's just trying to get his people work. Dan hustles hard to get his people work. Yeah. Dan knows how to pick a motherfucking fight. Yeah. Like, there wasn't a lot of people that would go with Matt back in the day. Yeah. So I remember Dan, like, he'd come up to me, and when Dan comes up to me smiling, I know he's about to ask me for some shit I don't want to do. So he'd come up to me and go, Brandon, can you get some rounds in with Matt? And I would go, fuck you, fuck no. Like it would be like this negotiation, right? He'd be like, can you get some kickboxing rounds in with Matt? Well, we'll start with Muay Thai. Can you get some Muay Thai rounds in with Matt? Fuck that. Not gonna happen, right? How about some kickboxing? No knees, no clinch. Fuck that, ain't gonna happen. Like he would negotiate, how about just boxing, light boxing, right? But, you know, with the black team, man, nothing's light, dude. It might start light, but it never ends light. Yeah. And so, like, reluctantly, I would, like, because he would, like challenge my pride. Like, come on, man, come on. Really, though? Yeah. So now you're banging. You ain't want to give him no work? Come on, man. Like, it's just Matt, you know? It's just fucking Matt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fuck you. But Dan, like, would want to get work in with me, too. And I remember he want to spar with me all the time because not a lot of people would even fathom it. Yeah.
Everybody gets out the ring when we come through at combat, like, they're, like, gone. Oh, yeah.
So I remember he used to do the same thing to get work in. You want to get some rounds in? And I'm like, fuck, all right. And I remember... he's like I'd say like a steamroller. He just comes and takes and fucking gives you whatever. Work. Like, yeah. Like, it feels like a mallet, like hit like one of those big wood mallets, like a cartoon, you know? It felt like this motherfucker would come and hit me over the head with this shit. And I remember like, you know, I'm of course I'm moving and shit and using the whole ring because I ain't gonna stand in the middle with this motherfucker. Yeah. But I remember like one time, like I'm like hitting him up and he'll take shots. He'll like take like a 3-piece straight up, and then go and start marching forward, right? Yeah. And so I remember one time I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna hit you for real, motherfucker. I'm gonna back you off of me. So I fucking pulled back a fucking right hand and just hit him as hard as I could, right? And he stepped back, and I was like, there was that like weird like, what's gonna happen now? And he just looks at me with this big old like smile. He's like, right? Good shit. It's like, it's like fucking Full Metal Jacket when he like, you know, when he goes crazy and shit, dude. He was like, oh, like we really playing now. Then he proceeded to whoop my fucking ass for the rest of the round. And then so the next round, I'm like, all right, motherfucker, all right, stand up guy, I'm gonna take you down. That's what I thought. I didn't know at the time he'd been training with Caesar, and you know he was So halfway through the round, I go for a shot, and this motherfucker sprawls out on me, and feels like the heaviest motherfucking thing in the world on top of me, and proceeds to like whoop my ass on the ground now, almost. And again, it was like a sick laugh of like, oh, you want to do this with me? So I'm asking like, do you have any of these stories, these damn black stories?
Neon
Everybody's
belly.
been through that same.
Neon belly.
Yeah.
So he'll smash. He'll smash you. He don't give a fuck.
He doesn't care. He's like everybody. He's killer.
He's still smashing everybody.
He's still smashing everybody.
Yeah.
He's sitting there knee on belly, and you're sitting there. He'd be killing you.
You're
laying-
just
writhing,
drowning.
writhing
Yeah.
underneath him.
And he's walking around probably like 250, 260, but he's feeling like a 350-pound dude.
With that
Like a
pressure.
500
And he's
pound
sitting
dude.
there, and you're tapping out from the knee on belly, and then he's like, you can't tap
can't
because
tap
this
to
ain't a
that.
submission type shit. So now you're like literally about to go out. Now he's choking you out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a real boy.
No,
A real boy.
No,
Like sparring with broken ankle, like
Yeah, he ain't playing.
Like I'm like, Dan, like, are you good? Oh, I'm good. It's all good. Like,
Yeah, he's an animal. Call him the Danimal. You know what I mean? Because he a real boy.
Nah, that boy. No matter what I did,
Yeah.
I couldn't back him off of me.
Yeah. He hit hard too. And then he's just, it's over.
But Dan is, he's. I wonder if he's softened up at all because he a dad. I mean, this is like 7 years ago. So,
I
but
don't
it
think
doesn't
so.
sound like he has.
I don't think.
Shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever fucked with Dan?
Yeah, I went over there a couple times when I sparred Baker and Charles and those guys and you guys too. Yeah, we worked together a little bit and shit. And yeah, it was a good time.
Who's on Team Black right now? Like who's a active fighter for you guys? Give some props to to your teammates.
Yeah, so it's me, Carli, of course, and then Mike.
He'll
And
be
then
on the
Molly
card,
Wop, you know what I
too.
mean? Mike.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
Molly.
he's on the card too. This one.
got
He's
Mike.
coming up too.
He's on the card, yeah, he's on the squad, yeah.
May 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Mike, and then we got Bear Mays Blaze,
Yeah.
Crawford, yeah.
And then a couple like newer people
Yeah, and then
now.
we got a couple people.
And you're
that's
training at
coming in.
combat
But it's
for the
really
most
just
part?
yeah, it's really like just a
Just-
small little team right now. You know what I mean? Just building, but it's just us.
So you're training it. So you get your work in at combat right now for the most
Well,
part.
couple
yeah,
different
combat, and
places,
then,
but
Delta
combat.
Delta 2 still the tactical spot.
No more
No,
Delta.
no Delta.
We're at Team Dum Dumaya.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, over there
And
a
then I
little bit.
seen him go to my cousin's school at
Yeah, Team
Triumph.
Team
Seronio.
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 Yeah, we're over there
Did
too.
you see Bobby last night? Did you
Yeah,
watch that fight?
yeah, I got him.
Oh my god, we were streaming it. We were like, oh yeah.
That boy hit him with the
Yeah,
perfect.
I got him ready a little bit for that fight too.
Oh, so you was working
We
with
sparred
Lil
with
B.
him up
Lil
there,
B's a
yeah.
beast.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, animal.
Lil B's a
Yeah, his
beast.
sidekicks are.
Because he's got a bunch of skill sets. He's got that karate skill set, but then he wrestled for a
Yeah,
long time. He's a
wrestled,
really
yeah.
good wrestler. And I mean, he's like 7-time world karate champion, and he's
Yeah.
fought on big stages, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he's got that experience, and I honestly feel like obviously wrestling is one of the most important aspects to have, but I feel like not just because of the physical like ability to take somebody down, but I feel like, and you can kind of expand on it, but like we play football, right?
Yeah.
We are one of many out there. There's
Yeah.
22 people on the field.
Yeah.
Like our helmets are on.
Yeah.
No one's watching us the whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you wrestle, I feel like they have an advantage mentally, wrestlers, when they get into MMA, because they're used to making that walk out to that mat
Yep.
and having the whole audience watching them.
Yeah, those two.
And I feel like that is a huge advantage. Like, did you feel like that confidence kind of going into MMA? Like, did you have less jitters because in your mind you're like, dude, I've competed against people in front of people plenty of times.
Yeah, definitely. Especially after my first fight with Jelena, I was like, yeah, totally like confidence level like shot up the roof. So yeah, wrestling. I've had so many matches, high school, college matches. I feel like I have that advantage mentally inside and outside the gym.
Who was your first fight, James? Who was your first fight? Official fight.
Official fight.
Yeah. You like I was
Be honest,
6.
I don't even know
No,
his name.
you don't
even
remember?
I don't even know his name.
Was it
But he was a
DJ,
wrestler
was it?
though. No, he was MMA.
First MMA fight.
My
yeah.
first MMA was I don't even
It was,
know his name. But I don't even remember his name. But he was like a wrestler though. He was trying to shoot
And then
the whole time. Like,
what were your feelings? Like how was that backstage, making the walk? What was it like that first time for you?
just the I mean it's the nerves to like me. It's like okay, I'm just waiting to see how I'm about to knock this dude out. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where I'm getting the excitement from. I got all my family and my friends out there. I'm not about to let nobody down. You know what I mean? And I come out and I work hard. You know what I mean? So I know that my grind finna pay off. So when I get in there, my whole thing is the excitement. Which way is this about to happen? You know what I mean?
Oh,
How
but
am
you have a complete positive
Oh yeah.
outlook on it. Like,
I got it.
how
Yeah,
am
yeah.
how am I going to win
Yeah,
this
yeah,
fight?
yeah,
Not
it's just-
if
Oh,
will,
no, hell
but
no.
how am I going to win this fight?
No. Walking through, you know what I mean? Like I was saying, like the reason why I say the football plays a big part because it's always been bigger, faster, and stronger. And in the fight game, to me, it's more like I've always had to be big, strong, lifting the weights, trying to. Now I'm like going against a dude my size.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like I eat those dudes up all day.
It
like
doesn't,
I'm hitting
it
dudes,
doesn't intimidate you
I'm
at
laying
all.
dudes out 300 pounds on the field. I'm smacking the D lineman. I'm coming down, hitting the dudes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Dude my size, and then
So it ain't nothing for you.
nah,
It don't feel like nothing.
And
Because you put the work in.
I've felt
We
like
just
there's
train
some dudes
so
out there
hard
that's tough.
almost every day. So
Well, you know, there's that old saying,
You shouldn't.
you win the fight in the camp.
Yeah. It's like
If you do everything you can in the camp, then
Yeah.
you can go out there with confidence. Who's your
Yeah.
first fight?
I can't remember, but when I started fighting,
You can't remember your first fight?
No, I can't. I remember
like-
the
you
fight. I
can't
can't remember
like
the
in
guy's
the-
name. I can't remember the guy's name. I remember who he
Hey,
was.
James is looking him up like, who was that motherfucker?
Dude,
No, I remember who he was. I remember what he looked
You
like.
don't remember your first fight?
Bro, I was like 19. That's like 15 years.
I'm taking a lot of
a
shots.
long
since
time
then.
ago.
Yeah.
But when I first started fighting, I thought I was the sickest shit ever, and I thought I was just fuck up anybody, no problem. So I remember the first fight, it was like there was no like I was just same kind of like you. Just, how am I gonna fuck this fool up? You know what I'm saying? But then I ended up winning, but a decision, and then he like almost submitted me a couple times, you know. And then after that fight, I was like, oh shit, like it might not go exactly how the fuck I think it's gonna go. Like I might. And then actually, I was more nervous fights, after my first fight.
You know what's funny is my first fight, I fought a Gilbert Melendez dude, right? And like I'm karate guy, right? And like I had a gym that just was like, you've been here 6 months, fucking. Let's throw you in, right?
that's how Dan is.
And I remember, it was real like sink or swim. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna figure out if you like it or not, right? And so back then there was no camo. You remember these days. And so we had to go to Indian casinos or like Air Force bases and shit. So we had to go like all the way up to Eureka, some like, Humboldt County Indian casino. But one of the crazy things is I remember thinking to myself, like before the fight, I thought of every single scenario that could happen. Like my mind was just constantly like, if he takes me down, and I tried to play it out a million times, right? So I'm thinking to myself, nothing can happen that I haven't thought about. Then we get in there and nothing that I thought about fucking happened. It didn't go down at all
Yeah.
And I remember the first 30 seconds, I'll never forget this. Dude was fucking huge, first of all. I'm like, fighting at 170, but like should be cutting to like 50. Like I'm a tweener. Like, man, 62, like if it was boxing, 62 is great. 55 is tough for me, you know?
Yeah.
But 70, like these motherfuckers, I'm looking up, this dude's like 6'1", straight country jacked, white boy, 8-pack, right?
Yeah.
And I remember looking like, there's no way this motherfucker weighs 170, But like I saw him step on the scale, I'm fucking scared out my goddamn mind. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to do this. Again, my whole fucking family is there. And I remember, so I get out there and I'm worried about the grappling because he's coming from Gil's school. So I'm like, he must be a good grappler, right? So I'm out there and I'm fucking, I'm the Karate Kid still. I'm still like side stancing and shit. And I throw like a spinning heel kick and I like barely miss him, right? And he just like, you see this look in his face, and then instantly he just takes me down, right? But I'm sitting there, and this is what's crazy is I'm holding on to this dude, and this is what's going through my mind. He's wearing Brute aftershave. Like this is the thought going through my head. Like, I can smell this man. He's on top of me in front of all these people. Like I'm having these like cognitive thoughts in there. So it's like, have you ever been in there in a competition and like had some crazy thoughts, between rounds or like when you're being taken down or when you're on top of somebody, like what's going through your head when you're in a fight? You know what I'm saying?
With me, it's more blank. I'm blank, but like my first fight, I want to say like after the first round, I started feeling myself a little bit. So when he was trying to do his moves and stuff, I started kind of like I was talking to him. Like I was telling him like, bro, like this shit ain't gonna work. Like this shit ain't gonna work. And
Might as well stop.
Yeah, stop this shit because you about to go to sleep and just let it happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop holding on.
So you got
Yeah.
this just kind of confident aura throughout the whole process.
And then, you know, like I'm saying, we be with Dan, you know what I mean? We get killed all the time.
So you're
it's
thinking
not
like it ain't as bad as a single practice.
No, it's not. It's not as bad as Dan being on top of you smashing you. So it's like, what's the worst? You feel me? Like, okay, you know what I mean? I'm killer. Like I'm saying, killer be killed. I'm coming in and I'm doing what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean?
True Team Black style. Do you hear your coach when you're out there? Can you hear Dan?
Sometimes it's hard to hear him. I hear James more than Dan because James got that loud voice and that personality. But the whole time I'm out there, I'm just thinking like pressure, and that's kind of like Dan's style.
So you're pretty cognitive though while you're out there.
I would say so, yeah.
It's not like because oftentimes when people are new at the sport, it's very emotional, you know, because the adrenaline, you know that adrenaline kicks in, and we're not, the humans aren't used to having that kind of adrenaline all the time.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's easy to just like get carried away and then lose yourself and lose the technique, you know. But yeah, what I realized in that fight is like. People try to show you some shit like the week of the fight. Like, oh, let me show you this tricky knee bar or whatever. And you know what I say? I say, dog, don't, no. Like, the only thing you're going to use in there is what you've trained 1,000+ times.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that, like.
I agree.
Because when you're out there, like, it's a fight or flight survival mode.
Yeah.
And what you've trained is what's going to come out, So like, again, you win the fight in the camp, So here's a very super profound question. I'll start with you. Why do you fight?
I mean, it's just something I've always loved to do, training, and I mean, it's very like spiritual and like not emotional for me. I don't know, it's just something that I love, and I can't I've never steered away from it. Like even when COVID hit, I'm like a lot of people fell off, like we were talking about before, and I'm like, no, like I still want to train. Me and James were training in the backyard the whole time during COVID. So yeah, it's just something I've always been passionate about.
Why do you fight, James?
Because it's not on me, it's in me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like to, you know what I mean? Like, look, if I fight because if I wasn't fighting in the ring where I can, like, use my anger, you know what I mean? Then I'm fighting on the streets. I used to get in trouble and shit, you know what I mean, when I was in school and shit, you know what I mean? So, like...
It's a positive outlet for you to be
it's
able
a very
to express
positive outlet,
express this.
Yes, it's like I feel so great after I'm done training and I'm working out, then I don't have that, like, where I can, I'm not going to say I'm a bully type of dude. I'm going to say, like, I always just end up in the wrong situations at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I've been through a lot of shit, so it's just like me being in the gym takes me out of the street. You know what I mean? So.
Well, it's it's a very therapeutic outlet for many of us.
Very.
Yeah.
Because again, you're having a bad day, you go to the gym. And what I tell people too, like, sometimes you got guys training and you can tell they're not there mentally.
Yeah.
And, I'll go up and go like, what's up? And like, oh, I'm going through this shit with my girl or my job or whatever, or my boyfriend, da-da-da-da. And I always tell them, I say, look, the cloud, you can't bring that cloud in here.
Yeah.
Like that cloud's been following you around all day, right? Yeah. I said, well, check this. You got to check that cloud at the door. And then you're going to train. And you're going to go outside and that cloud's still there. That reality is still there. But I guarantee you, like, that rain won't feel as heavy after this training if you commit yourself to this session.
Yeah.
If you half-ass this session and then go out, now you're driving home feeling bad because you didn't give everything you could in the gym. So now I said, like, you can get 50% because you're feeling bad, but when you leave, you're going to feel even worse that you didn't give 100%.
Yeah.
So check that shit at the door, train your ass off, and I guarantee you if you give 100% right now, when you leave, that cloud is not going to seem as daunting as it was when you came in.
Yeah, you feel way better.
And then that's why, like, COVID, like, how did COVID affect you? Because all of a sudden, like, this routine, I go to this place, I have this group of people. How did you guys, like, adapt to, you said you were training in the backyard?
We were training ourselves and other people out of the backyard, yeah.
Yeah, I started like training, doing like personal training out the backyard, and I was like, I got a gym in my backyard, so like we just started training in the backyard. But like, what messed it up was like, the gym got shut down.
Yeah.
Like our gym's not even a gym no more.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like that's where that all messed up, and it's like, oh, now we're not with Dan. So like, and then I was on a fight streak, like fighting people, like, and now
Yeah, that's
then
tough because a
stopped
lot.
for, like, 2 years,
I
so-
saw people like rising,
Yeah, then it just
and then all of a sudden it's like nothing for them.
nothing.
And it's difficult to stay motivated, right? When there's no fights. Like, I think fighters take fights because it gives them a bit of a spark. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a fight, you can get in your own head and
Yeah.
kind of get in a lull.
Yeah. And then like you was saying earlier, like coming back, like only the real fighters are back. The people that were grinding the whole time, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then so that makes it even harder to get a fight. You know what I mean?
There's
Like
not as
I've-
many
Yeah,
girls
like
now.
people pull out all the time. Like, you know,
All the
this
time.
dude don't want to pull.
Yeah, tell me about that because that
10
happens all
You said
the
I
time.
think
Because
it was like-
amateur contract, you ain't paying nothing if you pull out. There's no contract. I mean, I seen people pulling out the day of weigh-ins a bunch, man.
I've had like I've had a fight where I was like about to fight a dude, and then like every day I was coming to practice, Dan was telling me like, "And you're not fighting him no more. You're fighting this dude." It was like 10 dudes in a row, and I'm like, dude, I got like 10 dudes pulling out, and but then it was just like, okay, like I don't give a fuck, like okay, now I'm like just like I'm getting irritated. Him telling me who I'm fighting, I'm like I don't give a fuck. Like it's a Blake faced.
Yeah.
I'm gonna smash everybody. So let's just get this shit over
that's
with.
what's tough in the
You know what I
amateur
mean?
ranks is you can't really like a pro fight for the most part. You got a guy, you've got a bunch of film on him because he's a pro,
Yeah.
so he's got a bunch of broadcasted fights or
Yeah.
whatnot. And so you can do some studying and whatnot,
Yeah.
but as an amateur, it's really, you really don't know who you're going to fight until
Yeah.
you're standing across the cage
Yeah.
from him,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like this happens to you a lot too, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Even in the pros, right?
all you guys on the Bay Area combat staff, they always ask me for the card. Like, hey, let me get the card. Let's see the card. And I have the whole card, a bunch of fights on there, but nothing. But I'm telling you, nothing is solidified until like after
Until they
weigh-ins.
weigh in.
Until like after weigh-ins. And so I could get you guys the card, but I'm telling you, it's not going to.
It might not be the card, yeah.
I know it's not going to look like that. How it looks right now, it's not going to look like that. Come in 3 weeks, it's not going to look like that. But it's going to look similar.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of the same guys are going to be fighting, but and hopefully a lot of the matches stay together. And I mean, don't get me wrong, knock on wood, fingers crossed, it looks the exact same as it looks like right now, and everything's perfect. But the reality of it is, it's going to be a shit show for fucking 3 weeks, and
Well, yeah,
it's still going to be lit. It's
a promoter life. I would not. I've been in so many shows and seen so many promoters, and it's just a life that I wouldn't want to have to deal. Dude, him last time, bro. I come out. We're like, doing the mic checks on Friday before the show. I come out and he's just fucking pacing outside. Like, bro, this dude fucking just called me and said like some bullshit excuse, right? Like some my dog died type
So
shit.
why isn't there like penalties for that?
Well, because I mean, you're not. For amateurs, it's tough because like if someone can go, you ain't paying me shit, so fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what the
yeah,
fuck do
yeah.
I care? You know, like you are counting on the honorable warrior in somebody to say, no, I not everybody is say it, do it people.
A lot of
right?
people's excuse is COVID now.
and that's the thing.
Oh, that's what he said. He said he
And
had fucking
that's- I was
COVID. That
supposed to
was
fight
it.
somebody
He
in
pulled
January and-
somebody pulled a COVID card
Yeah.
last fight. That's what it was. Like
Not-
the day
Like,
of
show me your
weigh-ins.
results. Let me see the results though.
Not one person. It was like 4 people
Yeah.
were like had just instantly caught like symptoms of COVID like that second, and I was just like, damn. I mean,
Like, bro,
it
I
sucks.
talked to you like 2 days ago and you said you're all good. Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, and often it's like I can't make weight, so I'm just gonna not show up.
And then
you know?
no knock on grapplers, or I mean, in theory, MMA fights can be more detrimental to your health than grappling matches can be. So they're a little bit more dangerous, and that's the reality of it. So I understand at times when MMA guys get scared. Because look, they get scared, bro. There's people are pressuring them. Their girlfriend, their mom doesn't want them to do it. They have all these pressures, and then all of a sudden they make this decision. It's because they're scared. But I won't tell them that. But they're fucking scared. But when the grapplers get scared, that's when I'm like, you come on, dog. Like there was like a couple of grapplers.
Oh, like for grappling matches.
Yeah, for grappling
It's
matches.
like
super
yeah,
matches.
for grappling no-gi matches, like there's no punches, and like a couple of those guys caught COVID instantly, and that's when I was just like, damn, like these motherfuckers.
It's like
soft
that.
as- These are some real
Hey, not
soft
every,
motherfuckers.
but not everybody's about that life. Not
Yeah.
everybody's about that life, right? You know, like you realize it, and again, after the pandemic started to let up, I would tell people, I said, watch, we're about to see some fucking bomb-ass fucking fights. Like, when shows started happening again. Because, I like, we talked about that. The real ones kept on the grind through all this, right? And I kind of, like, compared it, like, microcosm to, like, jiu-jitsu. Like, I always make this analogy in jiu-jitsu. I say, like, and you were talking about earlier, like, I just want to fucking blow out of shit, right?
Yeah.
And I tell guys, especially the, like, white belt wrestlers who just want to fucking muscle out of everything,
explode,
right? I'm like, jiu-jitsu is more like a staircase, right?
Yeah.
There are many steps to get where you want to be. Say you're fucking mounted, right? There are a bunch of little steps. I shrimp, I push the knee down, I get half guard, I shrimp again, I get full guard. You know what I say? I get an underhook, I sit out. You know, like there's steps, right? And so it's like usually when you're new at a sport, you're just fucking going super ham, right? Because you don't know the steps.
Yeah.
And then some dude that's 50 pounds lighter than you is like fucking you up, and you're like, I don't get why he's doing it, because he is doing the steps. Now, it's hard because sometimes you'll climb these steps, and then right when you're right at the fucking top step, bing, 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 and now you're fucking mounted again. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard not to go, man, fuck this shit, and just try to blow out, right? You have to take a deep breath and go back to step one. Shrimp, push the leg down, half guard, da-da-da-da-da. And I feel like the pandemic was a little bit of a microcosm. Like the people that can persevere and keep that, just like in jiu-jitsu, it's easy to get frustrated when you're getting dominated, right? When you're in a bad situation. It's easy to just fucking get angry and explode, right? But the people that can stay calm are the ones that are usually successful in jiu-jitsu and in the match. So I was saying to people, man, like whoever is ready to fight when this shit opens back up are the ones that were able to keep that mindset of just keep grinding, next step, keep doing what I do, don't get frustrated, don't get angry, don't get emotional, don't just explode and say, fuck this, like stay the grind. And I feel like we've seen that. And I don't know if you guys have been to many shows since like things have opened up, but like our last show, I mean, like it was awesome. We saw some great performances, especially from the champ, Raul, like to come out of that much time off and to be able to control the things that he did. So yeah, I think it's like, it just goes to show the strength of character, the mental strength of the people who continued to train and keep things going and whatnot. Like Dan, you're always training, man. I see you constantly like ready to go. Didn't you just take a fight on like, what, 5 days notice in Miami?
I had a short notice fight in Miami. I try to stay ready, but for me, as I get older, I played football too, bro. So what I've learned is that my body will make me take a break. Yeah. Like and then I have to fucking take a break, And so either my back or my neck or whatever it may be, like so I try to grind as hard as I can until the universe. Don't get me wrong, I'll taper down. I try to prevent injuries by tapering down my training before I try to peak again. But the world is gonna fuck me up. It's gonna tweak my neck or hurt my back, and that's when I take my breaks, when they make me.
Yeah, have you guys how old are you guys? How old are you?
I'm 24.
And then how old are you?
I'm 27.
So you guys still don't really know how much shit's going to be hurting eventually when you hit 30 plus. But have you had to tweak your training at all? Because listening to your body is important.
Yeah.
And when you're young, especially with Dan, you want to.
It's a grind.
You want to push it. You want to show. Like, what have you learned about yourself and your body and your mental? Like, do you like have moments where you're like, dude, I'm not going to feel bad, because when you're young, usually you feel bad for taking a day off.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you need it.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually probably just going to hurt you more to go to training.
Yeah.
But you feel so bad. Like, are you still in that mode where you're like, nah, I can't miss a day? Or do you listen to your body and say, it's probably better for me to get some rest today,
I'll say a little bit
I'm
of
in
both.
that mode for sure.
Which mode?
I don't want to miss a day.
You don't want to miss a day.
I want to be there
at 24,
every single day.
Dude, when I was 24, I'd fucking roll my ankle and be on taped up training the next day.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you think those injuries heal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, that injury's healed. You'll be 32 and you'll go to grab a cereal box and you'll be like, oh shit, that shoulder tear is still there. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
So when it comes to cutting weight, what are your guys' techniques for cutting weight? Because things have changed a lot over the years. When I started fighting, you fucking put on bags and you didn't drink water for 2-3 days or didn't eat nothing and you'd sweat it out. But like a lot of people water load now. Like what do you guys do for weight cutting?
Dan likes a water loading method.
I feel like it's the least taxing on your body.
Yeah. So that's what we like to do.
Load, yeah. And then like
Eat healthy throughout. I mean, we like to eat healthy throughout, every day, but just even healthier throughout the camp.
yeah.
And then what? Then you cut what, sauna? Did you sauna cut or get on the Airdyne? Or I know he loves that.
Airdyne.
He loves
He
that
loves that
assault
Airdyne.
bike. God, I
Yeah,
know.
you know how that goes.
So you
Yeah.
guys just sweat it out?
Yeah, sweat it out.
Sweat it out,
Yeah,
yep.
sweat it
And
out.
if you
If
have
it's a
to,
big cut,
he'll
yeah.
like go on the treadmill with you, at a few days before fight, So
How you cut, Dan?
I do it all the very last second, all of it.
The closer to the weigh-ins as you can.
Fucking the morning of the weigh-ins. I'll be drinking fucking that morning of the weigh-in and knowing that I'm about to suffer, but then I'll suffer and then I'll make weight. I'll be eating
warrior.
before I start taking. But I do bath. I do,
So you're
I do
one.
baths.
You're one of those that's like I'd rather like I know I'm gonna have to suffer and cut more, but I'm gonna drink and eat up until when it's time to start cutting.
Well, I'm not cutting as much as some of these other guys are cutting. These guys are cutting like 20, 30 pounds, and so they have to fucking like stop drinking water loads, stop drinking water 24 hours
Yeah.
before they have to do the whole recipe, right? I don't have to do the whole recipe. I'm cutting like 15 pounds. So I'll just,
So you trust you can sweat that?
fucking 2 hours. All of it gone.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a chemical.
15?
But dude, the bath is like fucking chemicals and shit. I swear that's how it looks. No, it's just alcohol and salt. But the alcohol's burning your eyes. And
You put alcohol in the bath?
you put alcohol.
That's
like,
that. Hey,
with
Daniel
the-
Cormier on Tough. I remember the first time I seen that. He's like pouring alcohol, and I was like,
It opens
what?
up. It
I
helps
guess it
open up your
draws
pores.
the pores.
It helps dehydrate you as well. So then the salt, the alcohol, the salt. I put a lot of salt. They're usually one pound of salt per pound of body weight you're trying to get rid of. It's like an excessive amount at times. And then I'm done, dude. I make weight. I feel good.
Dang.
Yeah. You guys always made weight, never missed weight.
Never miss
I'm
weight.
Championship weight every time.
Nice.
Same day weighing though. For some of you guys, it can be challenging.
Yeah. Same day weigh-ins even easier. Well, actually, it ain't easier. I like the day before weigh-ins, but the day before weigh-ins, I'm cutting more. You know what I mean? Like if it's day of, then I'm fighting probably like 45.
A little heavier than
55.
you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know that
Yeah. So, but the day before, it's like, you know what I mean? I gotta cut a little bit, like
because you're
another 10,
you're like I got a whole day, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
fight lighter than
Yeah, so
I
like
do
my
on same
last
days.
fight, like my last fight, I fought at 35. I haven't been at 135 pounds since I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
I've
You're
been
like, is this how?
Yeah,
is
like
this
when
even
when I was playing
possible?
football,
Yeah.
I've been like 185. I've been you feel me? I've been hub, like buff, like now I'm like fighting like low. So it's like, damn, I ain't been there in hella long. You know what I mean? But just learning how to like cut the bread and all the carbs and stuff like that, and eat more vegetables and stuff. Like I'm kind of go vegan a little bit. Like I
meal
eat my.
prep.
I
Is
eat
that
my
hard?
meat,
Is that
but-
hard for you guys? Because I think that's I think one of the hardest things about fighting
I feel like
is that all that discipline that it takes
That's the
leading
hardest part.
up to the
I feel
fight,
like
right?
wrestling definitely helped with that mentality of the eating and knowing how to cut weight. So I'm kind of already like accustomed to knowing how to do that and like meal prepping and everything.
Oh, and then that's
So
another. I think that's another pro of wrestling is that you have been doing this, and it's
I help
it's
him
not
with the
stress.
cut.
It's not stressful to you because you're like, oh, I've done this before. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You ain't ever missed weight, huh?
Hey, you know what's funny? I missed weight for that Icon fight on that 5-day notice.
Oh well, 5-day notice is different.
Well,
though,
you know
bro.
it's fucked up, bro. So-
After he just talked for like half an hour about how it's easy for
Okay,
me,
real
15 like
bullshit.
nothing.
Nah, so first time I've ever I didn't miss. I made it on the second attempt. But so you go to Miami on a 5-day notice and then the dudes from the East Coast, and so you kind of feel like the shit's stacked against you. Then you feel like they're kind of fucking with you, and then you're out there kind of like, fuck, is it a setup? It is a setup. You're there to lose. You're in the blue corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I thought they were. So I knew I was on weight, and then they tell me they have a scale you can check with, and they're like, hey, this scale is 2 pounds heavy. So you're actually 2 pounds lighter than
What this scale
than
says
this scale
compared to the
says,
official scale.
Compared to the official scale, and I was just like, that's weird, but okay. So I hop on the scale, and so in theory, I'm fucking 2 pounds under.
In your mind,
Because
because that's what they told you.
according to what they've said,
yeah,
And so I have like a little Pedialyte. So I weigh in with the Pedialyte. If I drank the whole Pedialyte, I would have been over. So I drank like half of the Pedialyte. The official scale shows up, and they're like, "Oh, actually, the scale that we had is the official scale is 2 pounds heavier than the scale that you guys tested your weight on.
shit.
And so now
You gotta cut
I was over 0.6. And I take my undies off and I'm over 0.4 now. And just 0.4, not even a half a pound over. And my opponent was like, "Nah, you need to go. You need to go
on a
cut."
5-day notice, man.
And that's why I broke his arm. He's like, "You need
That's
to
why I
go."
broke
That's why I broke his arm.
Yeah, I swear to God. He's like, "You need to go cut this." And I was like, and I'd already cut it, you know.
Wait, Dan, are you saying that you
They set him up.
consciously broke his arm?
No, he didn't. No, so
Okay.
you can make it
you know you could have got the tap, but you decided to get the snap. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
But yes. So I've
I
learned.
mean, dude, that was a fight. Like he had your back, he had your neck. Like you look like you were about to.
I was getting fucked up. I learned as an amateur. Shanae was there that I armbarred this D1 wrestler motherfucker, and he slammed the shit out of me, dog. And fucking arm, he like grabbed his own arm and like picked me up and fucking slammed me, boom, like over his head, like Rampage Jackson slam. I held on. I almost straightened his arm. Anyway, he slammed me again. Held on, bro. I literally almost had this armbar. The third time he slammed me, like gorilla style, he got out, bro. And then he mollywopped me the whole fucking round. And so the end of the second round, I had his arm, and I knew that he was gonna fucking just slam. He wasn't going to tap. And I had his arm straight the first attempt. So that's why I broke his fucking arm. So I learned then that if they're not going to tap and they're strong as fuck, it's either you break their arm or they get out of the arm.
They get
bar.
out, and then now you're losing the
Those
fight.
are the two options, bro. You break their arm or they're going to get the fuck out.
Okay,
if you don't break
speaking
it.
of snaps, have you guys ever been in a submission where something popped? Have you ever had something pop?
I haven't, not yet. Hopefully never.
Have you ever had something pop?
My shits have popped. You remember when I fought
My knee.
Ivan Batinich? Yeah, he popped a couple of my shits, my elbow and my shoulder. But it's whatever, because it didn't tear completely off. But this dude's arm, like he's disgusting.
I'm pretty flexible, so I think that's an advantage I have.
Yeah, I've seen her get out of some crazy
I've
shit.
noticed,
Getting gotten out of some crazy shit.
Yeah. It's crazy because you see some girls and you're like, how the fuck are they not tapping to this? Like their arm is like completely fucking backwards, or their knee
And
is
just
like
pop out.
looking like Gumby.
Man, there's been times
you're
we've been
like-
like, it's about to break.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
your stomach is
and I'm
turning.
and
Like,
I'm like,
oh,
I'm not,
tap, please.
No,
Like, no.
and I'm like, I'm not tapping, and the ref's like, all right, and then pop out of it. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, hey, but you ever get somebody in those situations where you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna tap, and they don't. It's like with like people with like double jointed shoulders or like crazy double jointed elbows.
It's harder to
And you're
break
like-
some shit than you think, bro.
Yeah, you're like looking like, what the fuck?
It's
Like,
you know what it is?
How are you not fucking tapping right now, bro?
It's the heart, bro.
It's the heart.
It's gotta be the
hey,
heart.
that's-
My boy's like that. Like my friend, like when we wrestle, like I gotta tell him when I got him in the position, like
bruh.
like stop, or I'm gonna like, cause I don't want to break it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'll be getting deep and he'll just like keep, and I'm like, bro, if I push it any deeper, it's gonna break, and he's still like going.
Well,
I'm
and
like,
then
bro,
that,
like,
you know, and that's something I think to myself too. Like again, like you know, jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's a competition, right? But in the street, like I'm like, if I'm fighting in the street, like if it's a street fight, it's a life and death thing at this point. I don't know what you're trying to do. Like this is real. This is real.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, if I fight a black belt in jiu-jitsu and he snaps my arm and thinks I'm just gonna fucking stand up and walk back to my corner, I'm like, I'm about to beat the shit out of you with this limp ass arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just it's crazy because is it tough for you? Because sometimes it's tough for me when I'm doing just jiu-jitsu, because like you know someone better than me in jiu-jitsu has got me all wrapped up, or like maybe I'm in their guard and they're you know holding me down. Do you ever think to yourself, like, man, I could be punching the shit out of your face right now? You know what I mean?
Yes,
right?
I do all the time.
Dude, doesn't that get you frustrated?
Yeah.
When you're like have to humble yourself to an art,
Yep.
and you have to like as you're like getting worked, you're thinking, man, right now I'd elbow the shit out of your fucking face, and you would not be holding on to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I like to do in those situations, if I'm like caught in something, just training, I like to just hold position and kind of just breathe through. And like if I'm in a fight, you know, just be able to like learn how to readjust and not like get caught up in tap so quick. So that's what I like to do during training, is just make sure that I'm not like tapping to anything, and just making sure I'm uncomfortable in those situations so I can pop out when they readjust, find the way out.
Finding a calm in this chaotic situation.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's tough too. Like same thing with like stand-up guys that are better than me. I'm like, man, I'd just drop you on your back and be like, you know, get on
take you
top of
down
you
real
right
quick.
now. But I think that's part of too of the humbling yourself of martial arts. You humble yourself to the art that you're doing. I kind of compare it to dancing. Like, you might be a great, freestyle hip hop dancer, right? But then you go and try to do salsa dance, and it looks like you got 2 left feet.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're like, but I'm a good dancer. But you have to humble yourself to be able to relearn something and not think of, if we were in this situation, I'd be doing so much better.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of the growth of martial arts.
Yeah.
But also too, what I've noticed is grapplers, they love when you come grapple with them, but
Yeah,
but
they ain't wanna
they
stand
don't
up and
wanna
bang with
strike,
you.
dog. They don't want to give you no striking rounds, like
No
not even
striking
a
rounds.
one,
Hey,
like not even one.
you do see hella grapplers just looking at you doing striking like nah, I don't even want to train it almost, because, and that's the thing, is it's tough. Like imagine, and then it's like, imagine being a boxer and you've boxed since you were a little kid, and now you want to do MMA and you have to humble yourself and learn a completely new art, or being a wrestler and like having to humble yourself and try something new. And I think that's why people in mixed martial arts are like grow so much in so many aspects, because again, like you've always been a natural athlete. You're like you played ball.
Yeah.
I give you a baseball, you'll probably chuck it. 50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
sure.
You give you a
For sure.
basketball, you go, but you know what I'm.
Yeah, start dogging.
But then, But then, you get into this sport and you realize, like, you have to, like, look yourself in the mirror, and you have to accept that, man, like, I got some work to do and a lot to learn, Because, like we were talking earlier, like, technique really does conquer all.
Yeah.
Like, if you know the technique and you can execute the technique, again, like strength and, all that Hulk and shit, that don't work as you learn. Because when we first started, we all tried to do that. Yeah. And there was some, person that, like, you don't even, like, consider a threat that's, like, tapping you out 6 times in 5 minutes, And so I think it's, I think it's such a wonderful expression. It really is an art, You guys are going to go in there, you're going to share something with somebody. And again, like, you have a connection with everyone you fought with. You know what I mean? Again, because there's that, like, we know what would happen. Where with everybody else in the world, there's always that, like, well, you can talk, I'd fuck her up, I'd fuck that dude up, you know what I'm saying? But when you find out, there's just this, like, dropping of insecurities and ego, And so that's why I think it's such a great sport, and it's so cool to be a part of it, and to be able to interview you guys and kind of get into your heads. Before we go, though, I want you guys to have the opportunity. I'll start with you, James. Is there anybody that not just made you the martial artist you are, but made you the man you are today that you would want to shout out or thank? Like, hey, this person, like, I look back on my life and I'm grateful that they gave me their energy, because they helped me become the man I am today.
Well, yeah, like, I let a shout out my family, because that's where I get all my support from, you know what I mean? And that's what I say, like, you know what I mean? And my girlfriend, you know what I mean? She showed me the support. Other than that, as far as the coaches, I shout out Mike Rinaldi, you know what I mean, and Tony.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Because that's where I started my Muay Thai.
Oh, yeah, Crew Mike.
And I found out that's where I fell in love with Muay Thai.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And then, like, and then I met Dan, and he just implemented my game, you know what I mean? My MMA game involved from my Muay Thai, you know what I mean? So I shout out Dan Black, you know what I mean, from turning me into the animal I am today, you feel me? And the triple champ is here, bro. That's all I gotta say.
Let's go.
Like, hey,
Let's go.
It's bound and it's about to happen. So you feel me? I'm about to have one on this shoulder, and one right here. You feel me? So,
boy, more belts than a men's section at Macy's.
Yes,
I like
sir.
that.
All the belts, you know.
All the
what I mean?
belts.
All of them.
All the
Let's get it.
hardware. What about you, Carli? Like, who was, if you could look back and you want to thank anybody that, helped you become the woman you are today?
I mean, just Dan right now, of course, and my high school wrestling coaches. They really, supported me through my wrestling journey. All my high school wrestling coaches back at Freedom. So.
Oh, I get to go too?
Yeah, man, you're on the show.
Hey,
boy.
ringside, Brandon Kyle.
Jeff
Juarez.
Oh, stop.
And Zay Martinez, baby.
Oh, is that because Jeff just walked in right
Hey,
now?
not even. No, it has nothing to do with the cards coming up.
Okay,
Memorial
okay,
weekend
okay.
and the local show.
Sure. Gotcha. Cool. Well, I always want to thank my dad. You know, I had a great dad growing up, and I hated him growing up because he didn't let me do the stupid shit that I wanted to do as a kid. And I was just talking about with my friends last night that everything I hated my dad for in high school, I thank him for in adulthood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all about support, you know, and it's just good to see you guys coming up, these young fighters coming up, and it's good to see Dan continuing to do what Dan does. Like, he can't do nothing else.
Yeah.
Because I remember at one point Dan was like, "Man, I'm gonna go back to IT," because he's like, he can make hella money on IT. And he's out there struggling, you know, working with these fighters. And he's like, "Man, I'm just gonna go back to IT." You could tell he was like, "Fine, I'll just go do IT shit then," you know?
Yeah.
So I was worried that, like, oh man, have we seen the last of Dan Black? This was many years ago. It was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Have we seen the last of Dan Black? But so it's good to see, like, after the pandemic and everything, you guys continuing to put in that work.
He's starting to feel himself a little bit more,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, he's been through a lot these
Yeah,
last
yeah,
couple
he's
of
been through
years.
a lot, yeah, and then-
So it's good to see him getting back to
getting
the
that
dude
love back.
I first met at combat.
yeah.
That's just all about. He's just passion for fighting,
Yeah,
passion
for
for
sure.
training people. You know, he's a great dude.
Yeah,
you know?
great dude, yeah.
He's a great dude. I mean, and he's rough around the edges. Let's not beat around the bush, but the boy is. But deep down, he's got a great heart.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see his athletes. You know.
Yeah. That's why I got to get this dub.
Let's get this
You know what
dub,
I mean?
guys.
All day. You know what I mean?
Guys, it's been great talking to these guys. James Guidry, you got
Yes,
something
sir.
coming up, hopefully the 28th.
Yeah.
And Carli Lombardi is fighting for us, Bay Area Combat, coming up May 7th at the...
Santa Cruz Civic, baby. Tap in.
I love that.
Tap
The Santa
in.
Cruz Civic. Daniel Compton, he's the matchmaker for the Bay Area Challenge. I'm Brandon Collin, I'm your host. It's been good sitting down and talking to you guys.
Let's go,
Thank
BAC. Bay Area Combat.
Did I say challenge? Damn it. Just like when I always say the sunset, I'm all Sunsetter. She's like, Sun Coast, motherfucker. I'm like, if you think it's Sunsetter, you can do better with Sun Coast awnings. Sorry. Bay Area Combat. God damn it. Because Jeff, I'm looking at Jeff right now. Yeah, comes in talking loud and shit. No, but guys, Bay Area Combat coming up May 7th at the Santa Cruz Civic.
guys.
Carli's going to be on the card. We're going to get James on a card here eventually, guys. We want to thank you guys for coming.
Thank
Thank
you.
Deb and everybody here at the Sun Coast Awning Studios. Zach Anderson, the man behind the booth there, and
Let's get it.
everyone who helped make this possible. Have a happy Easter, guys, by the way, Easter Sunday, and we will see you. You'll be there too, right, on the 7th?
I'll be there.
You'll be there corner, so
Yes,
we'll see you
sir.
guys in a couple of
Yes,
weeks,
sir.
right?
Yeah.
Right on, guys. As far as we are concerned, we're all set here. Brandon Kyle, Bay Area Combat Podcast. Let's go. Let's see you May 7th, Santa Cruz Civic. Let's go.